Fellow Toastmasters, dear guests and friends, welcome to a new Toastmasters meeting. If there is Tuesday, there is Toastmasters. So we are here to create a positive and mutually supportive environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop their oral communication and leadership skills, which help us to increase our self-confidence and to become great leaders, to work on our professional and personal development. Every Toastmasters meeting has 3 sections. The first one is dedicated to members, and it's about prepared speeches. The second one is dedicated to all of you, and it's about impromptu speeches. And the third one is dedicated to evaluation. But every meeting, as a guest, as a person who takes us to what means a Toastmaster meeting. And today I'm honored to welcome here in front of us Dacian, Cimpean.
Welcome everyone to our weekly Toastmasters meeting. Considering that this is the last Tuesday of the month, we hold this meeting in English, but normally for those who are not accustomed with our meetings, we hold them in Romanian. What can you expect today? How does Toastmasters work? As Raluca already briefly explained, we have 3 categories. In the first one, today, in the category of prepared speeches, 3 of our members will come in here in front and based on a project from the Toastmasters manual, will present a speech. Following is the impromptu speeches section, where everyone, especially those who are not members, or even more those who are here for the first time, are invited to come in front and give a speech on a subject that they just see. And finally, the evaluators come and give us the report. But before starting our meeting, I would like to present the theme of this evening. It is really simple, and I hope everyone will enjoy. I remember that a couple of days ago, I was telling someone here in the audience that besides looks, if anyone is interested in that, there are only 3 aspects that define how you interact with a person. Intelligence, how well you understand each other, if you have common interests, and so on. It makes things interesting, it makes things enjoyable. The second one was kindness. How that person treats me, how he treats those around him, and finally how he treats those who can do him no harm. And the last thing was humor. And going back to what I previously said, I remember that a friend of mine a couple of years ago said that you can know how a boy is going to treat you, talking from her experience as a girl, if you look at his relationship with his mother. And that reminded me of this really weird joke that Simon Amster, a British comedian, had in one of his stand-up shows. Ovidiu?
Believe that we're all one. I still feel like a constant detachment, even with people I'm close to. Like my mum and I have got a good relationship, but there's a detachment, there's an inauthenticity to every conversation. I feel like I should be able to tell her anything, but there's a sort of awkwardness to it on the phone. And I think it's because I came out of a vagina. And that's sort of always there, you know? Oh, have you got any council tax? And I went, oh, I came out of your vagina, let's not pretend it's a normal thing to have happened.
So yeah, the relationship with your mother doesn't necessarily define how you are going to treat goes. Because there's not, it's impossible to have that awkwardness that Simon refers to. So humor, that's the theme of this meeting. I really liked Ovidiu's description on the Facebook event for this evening. He said something like this, like sheep that get lost nibbling away at the grass because they never look up. We often focus so much on ourselves, and our problems that we get lost. We forget to step back and see the larger picture. It is our sense of humor, as one writer put it, that provides a God's eye view of our situation. So today's meeting, even if you're going to find the jokes edgy, some of the jokes that I've selected edgy or maybe even inappropriate for this kind of meeting, I think that this description defines the perspective on humor that I was referring to when I selected the theme, that we have to let go and just enjoy humor in whatever form comes. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to invite now the general evaluator to present his theme. Vasile, Boris.
Hello, my name is Vasile Boris and I represent the Evaluator team this evening. Our job is to help our colleagues to improve themselves, and we are doing in this way. The Evaluators team is split into three categories. The first category is the category of technical evaluators, and I will invite each one of them in front of you to present their job. The first one is the grammarian, Ioana, Szasz.
Hello, my role for today is to be your grammarian, the grammarian of this evening. I will try to find the constructive sentences you make, the creative sentences you construct, and also the mistakes or lacks if you might have. I chose not really a word of the evening, but actually yes, a construction, quid pro quo, which is actually related to humor because this defines a mistake or a misunderstanding or blunder made by substituting of one thing for another. For example, Stella and Dacian, the two famous Romanian actors, they do quid pro quo oftenly, very often, sorry. And they do it by talking one about a cat, for example, and the other one about his groceries. So this is one of the uses of this construction. So if you will use it tonight, I will congratulate you, and I will also take notes for any other creative constructions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is the timer. It's first role in this club, so please welcome Pantazescu.
Hello, my name is Pantazescu, and it's the second time I come here to Toastmasters. I will be the time counter. I have these three colored papers, and I will show what the prepared speech is. The green one with 2 minutes before ending. The yellow one 1 minute before ending, and the red one when the time is up. And at the improvised speeches, I will show the same colors, but with 1 minute 30 seconds and the stop one. So I hope you understood what is my role.
I'm sorry for this problem. The last one is the art counter, Ioana, Marin.
Good evening, my name is Ioana Marin,
and sounds that you use to fill in the gaps of your speech. I hope you would not give me too much to work tonight, because I want to be real careful and attentive to your speeches regarding the humor.
Thank you, Ioana. The second category is with speech evaluators, and I will invite them after the speeches. And the last one are leadership evaluators, and they evaluate us on how we are doing our job. So I wish you luck for this evening, and I will get back to my desk and evaluate later. Thank you.
Before hearing the first prepared speech, let's take a moment and talk about parody or fake news. As far as sarcasm goes, I have to admit that no one does it like the Onion. Has anyone here heard about the Onion? Some. Okay. With believable titles and a realistic approach, it's no surprise that sometimes people have a hard time deciding if a title from The Onion or a new story from The Onion is real or not. The Onion has mastered the art of political and social satire like no one else. And let me just give you two examples, two headlines. On the 2008 US presidential election, they went with this headline: "Black man asked nations for change." And on the unfair justice systems, judge rules that girl will be tried as black adult. And I'm going to show you now a video that shows just how lightly the American public takes mass murders and their obsession with serial killers.
Billionaires like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are known for their charitable contributions, but not all great givers crave the spotlight. Last night in Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, an anonymous individual gave an unprecedented donation of 200 human kidneys. The secret benefactor delivered his gift a few minutes before 4 a.m. this morning, as seen here in the security camera footage.
It's an amazing gift. The kidneys are so fresh, they clearly must have been removed within the last 24 hours.
But the philanthropist sought no fanfare and left without requesting so much as a thank you.
Whoever did this is obviously very skilled with a knife, and it looked to me like they've done this before, maybe hundreds, thousands of times. We are just incredibly grateful.
The hospital's medical technicians have been working overtime to sort through the massive donations.
They recommend that we might need more additional donations in the future.
We're just really touched, and we hope this really inspires others to do so. We are especially in need of hearts, lungs, and brains.
Oh, nice report on a positive story for a change. All right, 3 people are dead after a grenade-eating contest goes awry.
Fake news, as I said. And as I already said, people have difficulty discerning if the story is from Ioana or not. Our first speaker is Raluca Culda. She's at project number 7, Research Your Topic, where she has to conduct appropriate research and then incorporate this research into a speech to provide support for her key arguments. The speech is 6 minutes long, and it's entitled "Nothing Ever Changes." Let's welcome Raluca Culda with a round of applause.
Good evening, everybody, friends and guests. I thought about my speech title when I heard, I think it was the last Sunday, in the Union Square, people saying regarding Roșia Montana, and everybody knows the situation, that nothing ever changed, nothing ever will change. And the first time I was furious, and after that I understood that actually nothing ever changes. But let me explain you why. So the one of you that are interested can put out the right hand, and I could explain you the brain, how it's made, how it's built. So this structure over here is what we know our reptilian brain. It's the first one that was built, and it's responsible for instinct, For aggressive behavior, it's like you see the yellow light, but you know it's between green and red, and you speed it up. Okay, so this is the first one that's done. The other one that came a couple of hundreds of years later, it's the limbic system. This limbic system is responsible for emotion, motivation, and feelings like parental behavior, hunger, and I mentioned motivation once time before. And the other and the latest one is the neocortex. So this is, in a very ground way, our brain, how it's built. And why do things never change? Because they never do if you don't make them. As I think a couple of you know, at the beginning of the 90s, there was an experiment that showed people that our brain does not make the difference between reality and fantasy. The experiment was made by two teams of athletes. One team was asked to think about running a contest, and the other team was actually running that contest. Measurements show that both teams of athletes feel the same, their brain input were the same, so this was the real fact. Coming back now to what happens in our brains when we say nothing ever happens. Please raise your hand. Do an exercise with me. Please raise your hands. People that at least once in your lifetime had a disappointment, something that you failed to do. I know I did. Okay? So, usually when we remember, thank you. Usually when we say nothing ever changed, this is a disappointment for most of us. What the brain does, it comes from the motivation center, and it's the feeling of pain and loss and unhappiness. And that feeling goes like an image to the neocortex and pointing us to the moment that we feel pain and hurt. So your brain says, don't do that. You are going to fail. You're going to feel like that. You don't want to feel like that anymore. And every message that you send it to the brain, it's too late, it's too hard, I don't want to do it, it's too soon. It reminds your brain the same path that you went when something in your lifetime went wrong, but that was only something. The way we can change things if we want, it's to believe that at least one thing can change. I was very upset, and usually I am very upset when people say nothing will ever change, this is not in my power. And I was thinking, at the end of this speech, I can't have a positive message, because I don't understand these people. And then I thought that maybe they don't understand themselves. It's physical, what happens to our brain, and it's our choice. So every time you woke up in the morning and say, no, I will snooze the alarm 5 minutes. Remember that your brain goes like this. It's the emotion and the image. And it might not be reality, but he will point it and make it a reality. Every time you want to come here and have a speech, and you say, I'm too afraid, maybe I'm going to lose it, next time. You do the same thing over and over again. And you allow your brain to picture your fantasy into reality. Just change the way. You just have to think, it's not the worst thing that happened, right? Worse things happen to me. Let's picture a moment that I was happy. Okay, and go to that, try this once, don't believe me. Try this picture only once, and you'll see the difference. Thank you.
At the beginning of this year, the North Korea dictator, Kim Jong-un, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, speculated that he might bomb with nuclear arsenal, that he might bomb America. And if Ovidiu is going to help me a little bit, I'm just going to show you a different type of humor. How normal people, just like you and me, like everyone here, reacted to memes here are some of them. I hope everyone can read them. Obama and the North Korea dictator. Moving on with the prepared speeches, I'm going to invite now in front of us Raluca Moisi. She's at project number 5, the oratorical speech from the interpretive reading manual. Her objectives for this speech are to understand the structure of an effective speech, to interpret and present a famous speech. She's going to talk for 9 minutes, and the title is Connecting the Dots.
Good evening again. So for tonight I had to choose one famous speech to understand and deliver to you. I chose one of a famous person that I admire the most. His name is synonym with innovation, and I'm sure after a few minutes of listening you will understand about what I'm talking about. So, today I want to tell you one story from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just one story. This story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out the Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So, why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed college graduate student, and she decided to put me for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that, when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy, do you want him?" They said, of course. My biological mother later found out that my brother had never graduated from college and my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that I would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in the one that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friend's room. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with, and I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College, at that time, offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of spaces between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on this calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college. But it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, your destiny, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years go on. You are already naked. There is no reason to not follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to go there. And yet, that is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because that is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of others people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was late in 1960s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriter sizers and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic and overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stewart and his team put out several issues of the whole Earth catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid of 1970s. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
Moving on, if Raluca read a famous speech, I'm going to show you what the internet does with famous events. I'm just going to give you the context. It's President Obama's second inauguration, and Beyonce was invited to the national anthem. She was accused of lip syncing, and that's what the internet did afterwards.
My dog, you can't see him. Put your mouth next to me. All night I scratch your pig. Pray, pray, babe, I try to use my words. Yeah. Your neck, but you little sweet pig. I stroked your swine. His name was Rusty, and the rusty. I've got a friend, Vorbitor. But your old black dog can't touch my behind. I saw my father.
You can search them on YouTube, they're amazing, bad lip reading. Moving on with the last, I suppose, yes, the last prepared speech, I'm going to invite here Adriana Paul. She's a project number 2, Organize Your Speech, which has the following objectives. Select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech, her speech in this case. Use appropriate transition when moving from one idea to another, and create a strong opening and conclusion. Her speech is 6 minutes long and it's entitled To Be or Not to Be. Adriana?
Hello everybody, I'm Adriana, and tonight I would like to share with you some of my thoughts regarding life. Probably some of you are asking if the title of the speech has any connection with its content. with content, but I promise you that after the next 6 minutes you will figure it yourself. So let's get started with an interesting quote for a movie that some of you probably already seen. It's Forrest Gump.
Never know what you're going to get.
So indeed, life is like a box of chocolates. And after these words, I was thinking that we could discuss some of the, let's say, main reasons why I consider kindness a very, very important value, and especially that it's also related to humor. So. Kindness is the act of the state of being kind and consider the needs of the others. If we go to a deeper level of understanding and studying, we will see that many of the historians and philosophers considered that mankind was born violent and mean. That is why people should teach and learn from each other to be better and to build together a better world. Aristotle, for example, thought that kindness is helpfulness towards someone in need, not in return for anything, nor for the advantage of helper himself, but that of the person helped. Nietzsche also had a very interesting argument, saying that love and kindness are the best curative herbs and agents in human intercourse. During the history, there were lots of remarkable persons, let's say interested or very keen on trying to let the other understand the fact that to be kind is very, very important. Among them could be either Mother Teresa or Gandhi. They think and they've considered the fact that helping the other is helping yourself. Besides this, there are two main arguments which I find very important for this value. First of all, biologically speaking, we are built with two hands. One is to help ourselves and one is to help the others. In another meaning, helping the others is somehow related to not only the receiver but also the givers has lots of benefits. In the fact that the act of being kind itself is a result of the releasing of some neurotransmitters which are concerned of the state of well-being, of happiness. And that is why if you do something good, you feel better instantly, somehow. On the other hand, being good means not only money related, it's also small things and small gestures that you can do so that the other feels that you are near him. Moreover, to somehow move to some updates, did you know that United Kingdom is celebrating Kindness Day on every 13th of November? And this day is affiliated to the World kindness movement, which was set up in 2010, and it's a coalition of 18 different organizations. So, what I wanted for you to remind after these 6 minutes is the fact that being kind is an option, is everyone's option, is related to the title to be or not to be kind, and I would like to be the initiator of a campaign of kindness, let's say. That's why I'm going to split some of the cards, and now it's time for you to move forward, and it's time for you to pay it forward, and I will strongly recommend you to be kind. Thank you.
And now that we've heard all the 3 prepared speeches from our members, we move on to the table topics section. Before inviting Alex to conduct this section, I'm just going to show you a commercial, how people in advertising improvise.
When you get bored, you start staring out windows. When you start staring out windows, you see things you shouldn't see. When you see things you shouldn't see, you need to vanish. When you need to vanish, you fake your own death. When you fake your own death, you dye your eyebrows. And when you dye your eyebrows, you attend your own funeral as a guy named Phil Shifley. Don't attend your own funeral as a guy named Phil Shifley. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Alex?
Hello everybody, my name is Alex Lukacs, and tonight I'm in charge of the improved speeches section. Tonight's time is humor, so let's get cheered up with the first joke. Why was the Scarecrow invited to a TED conference? Because he was outstanding in his field. Okay. The person who I will explain the rules, the person who will come here is going to choose a note, and she will have 20 seconds to think about what he will say and talk about the subject for 2 minutes. Now, I need here in front 2 persons. Who wants to be the bravest person? Somebody new? Okay, you, come here. And another person here in front, the bravest persons. Okay, come on. You have consumed cocaine. And you love it for no reason. You love for no reason. You love. You been stopped by a cop, and you try to explain you haven't used illegal substances. Cop must find out what substance she used. He used.
Wait, who's the cop?
You are the cop, and he is.
Good evening, young man.
Good evening.
Well, what do you have there in your pocket?
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything?
Phone and my wallet.
Oh, really? So what's that plastic bag full of white powder? Is that flour? Are you baking a cake?
No.
Sugar, really?
Yes.
Oh, may I taste that?
No.
Why not?
Because I love it very much, and I don't have enough.
Very much. Oh, really now?
And I don't give it to anyone because it's my last bag of sugar.
Really? And do you consume sugar over your nose? Because I see you have some white powder over here.
Yes, because it gets faster in the blood, and
if I eat it, it takes a long time and it doesn't have the same effect.
Oh really? You're sniffing sugar, aren't you?
Yes.
You're playing smart, aren't you?
No.
How would you like to spend your night in jail? Sniff on your sugar over there. And share it with your cellmate.
No, I don't share it. Why to share the sugar?
Well,
I told you I don't have enough.
I think your cellmates will be pretty convincing about sharing your sugar. If you know what I mean.
And I won't go to jail because this is sugar. I'll prove it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
With the same bag, you'll see. It's
oh really? You're baking me a cake and proving me there's sugar
no,
in that bag?
I come with the same bag and you'll see that it's sugar.
You come with the same bag and this is how I will know that this is sugar.
Yes.
Oh really? You've sniffed so much of this thing that you think I'm stupid, huh?
No, but sugar has weird effects on some people.
Really? I can see that on you.
Not only on me. You want to try to see?
Yes, yes. I would like to have that bag with me.
Okay, but you won't take me to jail.
Why shouldn't I take you for jail?
Because I give it to you for free. It is very expensive.
Oh, so now you're trying to sell me drugs. Now I can take you to prison for 2 charges, young man.
But you can't prove it in the court.
How can I not prove it if I take that bag with me?
Because you agreed that you won't take me to jail. And if I go to court, then I want to go to jail. If you prove that I'm guilty.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, thank you for these speeches, improved speeches. Now we need another 2 persons here in the front. Who wants to come here? 2 persons. You come here. Okay, another person, come on. Here in front. Okay, come on. Both of you are finalists in a joke contest. Who makes the audience laugh more wins the contest.
Okay, why is 6 afraid of 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, smarty pants. Okay, let's think about another joke.
Okay, I know a joke for you. It's a little maybe trivial, but I will say it anyway. A man goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I have this problem." "What's the problem, my son?" "Every time I find myself with my penis stuck in a jar of nuts." And the doctor says, "You're fucking nuts."
Oh, doctor, every time I drink some coffee, I get a poke in my eye. What should I do? You should take off the spoon.
A man goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I have some problems. I have a lot of doubts. I doubt everything in my life. Doubts, one after the other. I doubt everything, or I don't."
Okay, you won.
Alex, the timer, we have more time for improved speeches.
Yes, we have, I think. We have a little time, so the time is yes, 2 minutes.
Okay, 1 improved speeches. 1 person I need here in front quickly. Quickly. 1 person. Who wants to come here? Okay.
sentence and you have to explain why laughter is good for the body.
Laughter. Laughter.
So you can look at me, I'm fit, I'm looking good. and, I'm watching a lot of TV shows, a lot of stupid TV shows, and I laugh a lot. Like I like to watch Carpathos. And when I see that setting with the coach and people coming to get together, and there is how's her name? Is blonde? No one. I'm the only one that speaks. Oh, but Bianca Drăgușan is the one. Nobody knows that. Yes. Am I so low? So you know. So
what is girlfriend? The girlfriend of Botezaru.
Yeah. And I laugh a lot when I see people coming to Carpathos, and Bianca Drăgușan is there to make them have a good relationship because they are all crazy. And Bianca Drăgușan has always the solution to make those people happier, and I laugh a lot when I see this. But I also watch, I don't know if you know that show where people have a lot of troubles and there is a guy that films them, and at the end they get together if they don't fight. Usually there is a fight that springs. But I laugh a lot, so I think this is the reason why I should watch these shows to get fit.
I will ask you again to say your name because everybody can vote on the tickets. I'm Petru and
Adriana.
The second,
Paul and Shandu.
And
Marin.
Okay, congratulations for all of you because you're here. If it is somebody who don't have tickets, please tell me now. Somebody else? Thank you very much, Dacian.
Because I'm not good at improvising, I will. Because I'm not good at improvising, I will just tell a joke that I remember from Arrested Development. Arrested Development has to be the best sitcom that I have ever seen. So there's this character that decides to become a Christian and goes and asks the two other characters. Sorry, do you guys know where I can find a necklace with a T on it? That's a cross. A cross from where? Okay. Now the evaluators will come and give their report, but if you think that, if you hear reports that are really critical, just think that other people have tried to give speeches and failed.
I'm the president. For 7.5 years I've worked alongside him, and I'm proud to have been his partner, and we've had triumph. Lord, I'm the president. For 7.5 years I've worked alongside him, and I'm proud to have been his partner, and we've had triumph. Lord, I'm the president.
I'm sorry, he says that he worked with Ronald Reagan, they had troubles, successes, sex. He meant to say setbacks. This is sex. So yeah. Freudian slip of the tongue. That's it. I'm going to invite now Vasile Boris. He's going to coordinate the evaluation. So, Vasile.
Hello again. It's time for the speech evaluators. The first one is Gabriela, who evaluates Lukacs' speech. Please welcome Gabriela.
Hi everyone. So I will start with the beginning. The topic that we have chosen was very good because it was according to the level of everyone's knowledge. I mean, it wasn't too technical, so it didn't come with some explanation about chemistry or something like that. And we have all understood everything that is famous. You have organized your speech very well. You have opened with the personal experience and the feeling that you have during this event. Then you have given us some explanations about why nothing ever changes about the brain. And you concluded with an exercise. I believe the purpose of your speech was a technical one, yes, meaning how the brain works and why we feel that nothing ever changes. But also, you had the purpose to persuade us, to motivate us, to, let's say, change the reality of the brain, how the brain works. The information that you had used as a supportive one was a technical explanation of how the brain works. And here you used a very good body language with the hands. And I liked your overall body language too, because it was according to your speech and what you were saying. What I would have liked during this explanation was maybe a picture. I think, so some of us are very visual. I am very visual, and I think that together with your explanation with the hand and with the picture, I would have understood better. Also, you have given us a good example with the experiment that actually the brain doesn't make a difference between the imagination and fact. And here, what I would like more is more information about this experiment. Where was it made? Okay, in the 90s. How many people or something like that. About your vocal variety. Unfortunately, I have not seen your last speech, the previous one, number 6, with vocal variety. But I have noticed in your book that the volume of your voice was low, and it was the same case here. So I would have liked to hear you with a higher volume of voice, and especially in some parts when you wanted to motivate us to do this exercise. But the use of words, rhetorical questions were very good, very interesting. And also, I liked it very much that I have found out something new. That the brain does not make a difference between fact, the reality, and the imagination, if I believe they are both the same.
The second one is Ovidiu, who evaluates Raluca Moisi.
I was in charge of Raluca's evaluation for this evening. Raluca was at project number 5 from the interpretive reading manual. It's an advanced manual. And who guessed the famous speech she interpreted tonight? Okay, almost everyone. Congratulations. It was a fragment, actually. It wasn't the whole speech. It was a fragment from Steve Jobs from the graduation ceremony at Stanford. Now, Raluca had some very specific objectives for this project. First of all, she had to understand the structure of an effective speech. And you have to understand that the structure is not that simple, like beginning, body, and conclusion. There are several multiple elements inside, like the way the speaker captures the audience's attention, the way it captures the audience's need, the way it satisfies the need, the way he makes the audience visualize that satisfaction, and in the conclusion, he needs to urge the audience to take action. And the second objective was to interpret and present a famous speech, and that was well done. Regarding the first objective, I want to congratulate you because although you presented only a fragment from Steve Jobs' long speech because the whole speech is 20 minutes, 22 minutes long. So you took the correct fragments in order for the story to make sense. You started by capturing our attention, saying, I'm going to present one story from our life. And since Steve Jobs is talking, one story from his life is worth all of our attention. And you concluded with a very powerful phrase, stay hungry, stay foolish, which urged us to take action. On the way, during your delivery of speech, you made pauses exactly like Steve Jobs. And I want to congratulate, he has a very specific way and moment when he makes those pauses. And that implies that you studied very well the speech, and you certainly put the speech in your blood, and you memorize it very well and interpret it very well. I remember when you said, I naively choose a college exactly the way Steve Jobs did. I would have liked if you could have used a lectern to introduce us in that atmosphere and maybe dress like Steve Jobs with a robe and that hat you wear for graduation. At one point, you started to talk with passion when you talked about Microsoft. And yes, this is Steve Jobs. Very well. You didn't make any eye contact, but neither did Steve Jobs, because he read the whole speech, he didn't say it out loud. Sometimes you have a Russian accent. Maybe that's because you speak a lot in Romanian. Especially you had a different pronunciation of karma, the way Russians say it. I would encourage you to work a little bit more on your English accent to develop it a little bit better. I didn't sense a true connection with the audience. This is an area you could improve. I sensed that you knew the speech, you knew when to put what emotion, because that's the way Steve Jobs did it, but you didn't really I didn't sense that you wanted to send that emotion to us, to inspire us with what you were saying. I felt that you knew what to say, when to say it, and you did just that. So maybe I sensed that you really believed in what you were saying. And I wanted to see how you really connect with us through eye contact, but through that energy that you could have given away. Okay? Yeah, it's a challenge to give a famous, inspiring speech, even in Romanian. So, for you to choose a speech that it's in a different language, it's something that you have to be proud of, and I really congratulate your courage for that. And one more thing, you have a tendency to use a warm, friendly voice, and that's the Raluca we all know. But Steve Jobs is really firm, and he's a little bit cold, but usually men are like that. So this, if you really wanted to make a perfect speech, this is another area you could have improved more, to use a more firm voice and to be a little bit more cold when you deliver the speech. After all, in the end, I could say that you definitely reached your objectives. I think it's a well done project, and you still have one more for the interpretive reading. Okay, I wish you lots of success for that project, and congratulations.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the narrator for Adriana Audience. Adriana is at project number 2. Her objective was set by Dacian, but I will say it again. To create an appropriate outline, clear message delivery, transitions, and strong opening and closing. So, Adriana, to be or not to be kind. I thought about what will your this course, your project about, before, and I thought about existence. And you somehow created this project about something more specific, to be kind, and something with positive emotions. You use notes, but at this project it's okay. It's completely okay, and I saw that it helped you very much to have a clear structure of your project. Your voice was a little bit insecure. I don't know why, because it was good discuss. Discourse comes in speech. I'm sorry. So it was a good speech. And you had the notes, and you can use them to be more in the future, to be more self-confident. But at the same time, I saw that you used gestures. Bravo! Because in one hand you had the paper, and with another hand you made gestures, and then the change, and with another hand. Congratulations! You made good transitions. Using on the other hand, using moreover, okay. Yes, you had a strong, but in the same time unusual opening. This means that video, I think that it was a very clever idea, because it had a good impact on your public, and after that it had a good point from where you could start your speech. Thank you. And at the beginning you said to me that until yesterday, it was a strong closing. You had a strong closing because you said to us, to your audience, that we have the option to choose between being kind or not to be kind. On the same idea, I would recommend to choose to go on one idea or less ideas, because your structure was about very different kinds of ideas, different directions, and I somehow felt that you've begun to tell about different things, but I would recommend to have 3 main ideas and to go on those ideas and to develop them more. The objective of your project was accomplished, and congratulations. Thank you.
Now it's time for technical evaluations. The first one is the accountant, Ioana.
Hello again. If you ask me, I'd say it was a nice evening. I liked your speeches, and I want to congratulate you for your job. And now I'm going to do my job. Dacian, I found 2 lengths, 3 repetitions, 8 sounds, 2 pauses. I will call sounds from now on, if I may, because I don't like that thing. Boris, 2 repetitions, 2 sounds, and 1 pause. Ioana, 1 length, 1 repetition, 4 sounds, and 2 pauses. Paul, 1 length, 2 sounds, and 1 pause. Raluca, Culda, 1 length, 1 repetition, 2 sounds, 1 pause. Raluca, Moisi, 4 repetitions. Adriana, 8 lengths, 2 repetitions, 8 unpleasant sounds, and 5 pauses. Gabi, 2 lengths, 3 repetitions, 5 sounds, 3 pauses. Ovidiu,
5 lengths, 3 repetitions, 6 sounds, 4 pauses. TB, 5 lengths, 7 repetitions, 8 sounds, 4 pauses. And Alex, 2 lengths, 4 repetitions, 3 sounds, and 2 pauses. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
The second one is Ioana Szasz, the grammarian.
Thank you. Boris, I want to mention that I know nobody used the word of the evening, but actually I'm happy because I didn't really give you an example to follow. And second, the expression actually states one of the speeches. For example, the first speech that we had at impromptu, it was actually a quid pro quo. This is also spelled quid pro quo. Maybe you know it like that. Okay, I will start with the evaluation. Raluca, Moisi, I didn't really observe anything as a president. Dacian, you are very fluent. I really liked it, but I didn't like the message that Obama gave us, or actually the written message that was go kiss yourself, I believe, was something similar. Okay. Vasile, Boris, after the speeches, you were talking about the speech evaluators. They are actually after the prepared speeches section, not really after the speeches, because it's not one speech and then the evaluator. Okay, the counter, Ioana, not give me, don't give me, not give me too much work. It was actually the construction, and I would have said don't give me too much work. Paul, Pantazescu, you had, let's see. Yeah, 2 minutes before ending. 2 minutes, you keep the amusing part vivid. 2 minutes before ending is actually 2 minutes before the ending of the speech, or 2 minutes before the end of the speech, or the time allocated, or there has to be an ending because we want all that tonight. Raluca, Culda as a speaker, hello. People don't understand themselves. This is actually very true. It's a construction I really love. And I have some other things to say. The one of you, those of you, it's like you see the yellow light. It's like when you see the yellow light, their brain input were the same, was the same, so the input was the same. Do an exercise with me. Maybe would have been, let's do an exercise. But it was fine also in the grammarian point of view. What the brain does, it comes from the motivation center. I would have said what the brain does, it starts. Not really it comes. It starts from the motivation center. Every message that you send it to the brain, every message that you send to the brain, your brain goes like this, your brain works like this, and don't believe me, it's actually don't trust me. Try it. Because this don't believe me is actually a Romanian construction, just translated into English. It's very difficult, I know, to speak in English. I've just shown you at the beginning of the meeting. It's actually easier if you try to think in English, but I don't know if you can really manage that. Me, myself, not really. Raluca, Moisi. You had a reconstruction or a rephrase. You will understand about what I'm talking about. I have some notes here. Yes. Mostly I wrote about the phonetic stuff, like scissors. I don't really recall how you told it, but it wasn't really very phonetic for me. You also said student. This I wrote it in Romanian, so I can really spell it. It's student. You had some rephrases, but I think that Ioana, Marin already told you had some before. You said at one point even, and then you rephrased it to Evan. Evan, sorry, and you rephrased it to even. I don't really know if trusting something is actually correct, because you normally trust in someone or believe in something or trust that something will happen. I don't really know, but maybe Steve would have known what he said. Yes. And you had also, no one has ever escaped it. No one has ever escaped it. Okay. And I really much like Battles of My Generation and Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. Okay. We're done. Come to the third speaker. Here somewhere. I get lost in so many papers. Okay. Adriana Paul, yes. Adriana, I have your... Yes, I have it here. You said contact. I think you would have meant content. Some of you already seen, some of you already saw. I was thinking. Historians, this is a very correct usage. I wanted to point it out. The most best, I think you would have said the very best would have been better. During the history or throughout history, maybe. I like very much the construction two hands because one just want to help ourselves and want to help others. And the givers has lots of benefits. The givers have lots of benefits. To move to some updates, to move forward, maybe. And yes, I want you to remind after these 6 minutes, I want you to remember after these 6 minutes. Okay? I will try and be quick or brief. If I cannot manage, how many minutes do I have?
7 minutes you have.
I'm already okay. I already gave the feedback to the prepared speeches. I prefer to give the feedback afterwards for the other impromptu speeches because I have a history of 15 minutes as a grammarian and I don't want to prolong it tonight. So I will give you the feedback, but after the session. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, the latest evaluator besides me, it's Paul.
Okay, Raluca, Culda, 5 minutes and 14 seconds. Raluca, Moisi, 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay. Adriana Paul, 5 minutes and 56 seconds. For the improvised roles, Adela, I believe, talked about 1 minute and Petru 1 minute also. 2 minutes in total. Me, another 1 minute and Shandru 1 minute, I think. Also 2 minutes. And Marius 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, and for Gabi Zsok, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. For Ovidiu Oltean, 5 minutes and 38 seconds. For Tibor, Krajla, excuse me. 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Okay, continue. For Ioana Marin, 1 minute and 28 seconds. For Ioana Szasz, 7 minutes and 44 seconds. And for myself now, I didn't count. That's it.
started with 7 minutes late and the delay is still present. Regarding the Toastmaster, I really like how you organize this meeting as a Toastmaster. You really find nice subjects, interesting subjects, and you integrate them really well in the evening. The table topics master, Alex, where are you? Superman. Alex prepared a good section, an entertaining section, with funny subjects, and also your English is better and better. Regarding the prepared speeches section, it looks like you have a philosophical meeting, starting with Raluca that helped us understand how we think. Also, it was a funny situation when you start the speech. It is funny, it's not related to our speech. Ovidiu pointed the camera to you, and you moved. And then he fixed the camera, and you moved again. Ovidiu was really busy this evening. Raluca's speech reminded me of important decision I had to make some time ago, and also you opened a window to see what we learned in advanced lessons. And Adriana also helped us understand the value of kindness. All speech evaluators did a good job. They noticed good points and good improvements, and I like how Ovidiu explained Raluca's speech, how Raluca's speech was organized, because she is following an advanced manual and her speeches are different, so we have to understand how the evaluation is going on. Also, technical evaluators did a good job. I would like to mention Paul. He was on his first role, and I think he enjoyed the role also. Regarding the annoying stuff, I noticed that one phone ringed, and there was a lot of movement in the crowd, in the public. It doesn't help the speakers and the people that are in front. And from the bright side of view, the light was good, and we have the band. Thank you all, and this is
Ovidiu will help me to create some anticipation, because I'm going to announce who won the impromptu speeches section. I don't really enjoy cat videos or anything on the internet, but this was appropriate. So, stop laughing. Adela and Petru won this meetings. Congratulations. Adela is one of my favorite people to come to Toastmasters and give to speeches, because she's so natural and creative. So, good job. Normally, at this point, I would try to formulate a form of conclusion, but today I'm just going to let you all decide what type of humor do you enjoy. If you thought that the videos or the images were inappropriate, find something funny and just laugh. Find whatever perspective on humor you enjoy. That would be good. Now I would like to invite people who are here for the first time to introduce themselves and answer just a couple of questions. Who would like to start? Livia? Where have you heard about Toastmasters?
First of all, hi, my name is Oltean. Actually, a couple of years ago, I was searching for debate clubs, and by accident, I came across Toastmasters, but someone forgot about it, and Dacian introduced me to Toastmasters.
What did you thought about today's meeting, and if you think that there is anything we could improve?
It was an enjoyable evening. The only thing I could comment upon was the fact that I would have preferred that before each speech, someone would have presented the points of the speech. Because looking back at it, some aspects are lost when we only learn the point of the speech after the speech.
And do you think you're going to come back to another meeting?
Probably.
Thank you. Somebody else? Somebody else who is here for the first time?
Hello, I'm Gramatician.
Where have you heard about Toastmasters?
Raluca. And I came here to support it.
Do you think there is anything we could improve?
I like the organization and I think you are support.
Okay, thank you. Do you think you're going to come back at another meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else? Petro?
I'm Petro from Szasz. I'm not in this.
Where have you heard about Toastmasters?
I've seen online, and I saw these days that it is also English. And I heard from Paul that he's going, and I thought that it would be nice if I come here too.
Do you have any kind of feedback for us? Something that we might do better next time?
I don't think it was very good.
Thank you. Somebody else? Please.
Andrea, thank you for the program, and please don't speak what I've heard about us.
Okay, moving on to the next question. What did you think about today's meeting? Is there anything you would suggest we improve for next time? Thank you, Andrea. Somebody else? Please. Yes.
Okay.
You've raised your
Hi.
hand.
So my name is Ioana, and how I heard about Toastmasters. Actually, I heard it from someone from work who was telling me he's coming here, but only at the English sessions. And today I've seen it on Facebook posted that it's going to be a meeting. The other question was if I have some suggestions, right?
Yes.
About this. Yes, I do have some. I don't really understand what's project number 7. And how you choose the topics and how everything is organized. You decide
we have
this
this
session. You
manuals.
decide how it's going to be, or
We have these manuals. Every member goes through different projects. These manuals contains projects from 1 to 10, and depending on the project, you learn different aspects that will help you as a public speaker. And Raluca was at project number 7.
I figured that she had 6 projects before that, but I didn't know how they were chosen.
How the topic was chosen.
Yes, and how it worked in the end. If you start with project number 1 and 7 weeks from now you present something each week, or that was.
I think we can talk about that at the end of the meeting.
And to conclude, yes, I found it useful, and I think I will come again.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to offer their opinion on today's meeting? Someone here, maybe?
No.
End of the meeting.
In the end of the meeting, please. Because you are on a very big problem.
That's critical,
No,
right?
I don't know English so good. I understand everything, but I don't know what the rules. I forgot. I'm an old woman. But this meeting is in Sedinta.
I'm going to invite now the president to come. We need to announce administrative
beloved Romanian language to talk about administrative things. Așa că... Așa că vreau să vă anunț următoarele lucruri. Săptămâna viitoare, luni, avem training de evaluare și Moments of Truth pentru toți membrii clubului. Evenimentul are loc la bistroul în care mergem și apoi. Începând cu ora 19, traineri îi avem pe Boris și pe Adi. Eu sunt facilitator pentru partea de Moments of Truth, iar Diana este coordonatorul întregului eveniment. Intrarea este absolut gratuită și vă așteptăm în număr cât mai mare. Membri.
Unde?
La bistro, la care o să mergem. Bistro 28. Așa, vreau să vă reamintesc că pentru a deveni President Distinguished Club, așa cum ne-am propus pe anul acesta, e important să acumulăm cât mai multe puncte la Toastmasters International. Parte din aceste puncte le dobândim și plătind taxele de membru la timp. Asta însemnând până la 1 octombrie să fim plata la zi. Mai avem nevoie, și vă știți voi cei care încă n-ați achitat taxa, mai avem nevoie de câțiva oameni pentru a primi aceste puncte, așa că vă încurajez să-l trageți de mânecă pe Boris și să plătiți cei 150 de lei pentru reînnoirea taxelor. De asemenea, vreau să vă reamintesc, va avea loc în Cluj cursul de formator, pentru care membrii Toastmasters au un discount consistent. Cursul va avea loc în 26-27 octombrie și 16-17 noiembrie. Și pentru că avem privilegiul de a-l avea astăzi alături de noi pe trainerul care va ține acest curs, am să-l invit în față pe Nicu Zegheanu să ne spună mai multe despre cursul de formator, mai multe decât pot eu să vă spun.
Bună seara, bună seara! E aproape a doua oră când particip la o ședință Toastmasters. Spun aproape a doua oră că asta a fost una completă. În Timișoara a mai fost la vreo jumate, cred. Și acum îl tot întrebam pe Călin ce se întâmplă, să înțeleg și eu care e ideea. Așa, eu sunt Nicu Zegheanu și voi fi trainerul acestui program de formator. Este a doua oară când lucrez cu Toastmasters, pentru că am avut ocazia dată de Călin, adică prin facilitate de el, să fac primul program în Timișoara, cu clubul de acolo. Programul l-a numit Călin foarte drăguț, de la speaker la trainer. Avem doi invitați care așteaptă, da? Vă invit aici. Ok, acum nu știu ce aș putea să rezum în câteva minute legate de acest program. O să vă spun doar câteva detalii absolut tehnice. Este un program certificat de Ministerul Muncii, Educației și așa mai departe. Este un program de specializare. Ce vă propun are recunoaștere internațională și în momentul ăsta încalc o regulă la care spune un training, să nu vorbești dacă se mișcă cineva în jur, în ideea în care vizualul întotdeauna e mai puternic decât auditivul și ca atare toată lumea își întreabă atenția către ei. Așa, aș vrea să vă răspund la întrebări legate de programul ăsta dacă aveți. Altfel o să vă spun eu doar în două fraze că programul se adresează celor care vor să devină trainer. Deci nu discutăm nimic de public speaking în acest curs. În ideea în care voi sunteți deja mult mai buni speaker decât mine și decât mulți alții pe care am văzut eu. Așa că în cursul ăsta o să învățăm cum să dezvoltăm competențe altora. Asta va fi punctul cheie. Adică ce trebuie să faci concret și cum trebuie să faci lucrurile ca să dezvolți competențe celorlalți. Ceea ce e mult diferit de ce face un public speaker. Și am avut o mână ridicată pentru o întrebare, cred.
Vreau să întreb ce e diferit față de alte cursuri de formatori, parțial probabil că ați răspuns așa.
Da, o să spun eu ce e diferit. Experiența mea e diferită, în sensul că am avut până acum vreo 200 de cursanți. Ce e diferit iar e că lucrez în business. În general, ăsta e singurul program open pe care l-am. Adică sunt trainer pentru companii multinaționale, lucrat cu vreo 50 până acum în România. Ariile în care fac eu business training sunt management, vânzări, relații cu clienții. Și ceea ce fac în acest curs de formator nu are nicio legătură cu partea teoretică, ci o să vă spun exact ce fac eu în experiența practică de zi cu zi din ultimii 8 ani de activitate.
Dacă pot să mai întreb cât costă programul?
Asta o să vă rog să vorbiți cu Raluca ulterior legat de partea asta financiară. Alte întrebări, dacă sunt. Reclamații, sugestii? Nu sunt. Atunci o să vă spun singurul ban, că era în nota asta, singurul ban cu trainer pe care l-am auzit eu. Știți? Că e unul singur. Și că se întâlnesc doi trainer și îl întreabă unul pe celălalt. Bă, uite, eu nu înțeleg chestia asta. Și partenerul îi spune, lasă-mă să-ți explic. Nu, că de explicat pot și eu nu înțeleg. Ăsta e singurul care știu din zona asta de training. Oricum, dacă aveți întrebări, cu mare drag o să...
Cât durează trainingul? Știu că 4 zile, da, câte 8 ore în fiecare zi? Sau...
Câte 8 ore în fiecare zi, în principiu de la 9 la 5, adică nu numai în principiu, ci și în realitate. De la 9 la 5 va fi structurat în 2 module. Adică, în primul modul vom vedea ce înseamnă un training, cum îl pregătim. Vom vedea tehnici de învățare a adulților, de managementul grupului de participanți într-o sală de training. Iar în cel de-al doilea, pentru că e un training axat pe competențe, vom exersa competențele dobândite în primul modul și am discutat cu Raluca, l-am pus la un interval de 2 săptămâni, pentru că în acest interval voi face o ședință de mentorat cu fiecare dintre voi individual, online în cazul ăsta, pentru că sunteți din Cluj. Și eu, apropo, sunt din Timișoara, nu m-am prezentat suficient de bine, mai am 34 de ani până la 70. Așa, și în modulul 2 o să exersăm, o să fie filmat și o să exersăm pe mini-secvențe pregătite de voi ce înseamnă să fii trainer, încă o dată și un speaker. Nu știu dacă am răspuns, foarte scurt. Alte întrebări, era zic reclamații. Da? Nu sunt altele, atunci eu vă mulțumesc. Dacă aveți, o să vă rog să-mi scrieți contact@nicuzegheanu.ro. Cu mare drag vă răspund la orice întrebare venită din zona asta. Apropo, chiar mi-a plăcut, unde? Trebuie să o felicit și trebuie să o pup. Mi-a plăcut foarte tare. Și voi trebuie să mă aplaudați. Da, vă mulțumesc că mi-ați permis să fiu în seara asta aici. Cu siguranță când voi mai veni prin Cluj, voi fi aici. Mulțumesc, Raluca.
Dacă aș putea să completez, ca și absolvent al cursului pe care Nicol pentru Timișoara, trainingul este unul experiențial, adică se lucrează foarte mult practic și teorie, atât cât e nevoie să știi ca și trainer. Dacă vrei să înveți teorie, primești maculatură, te duci și citești. Ca să-ți răspund și de preț, pentru membrii Toastmasters, prețul este de 140 de euro, iar pentru ceilalți este de 280 de euro. Noi avem un discount de 50%. Cine vrea să se înscrie, mai avem încă 8 locuri libere. Bun. Aș vrea să-i aplaudăm pe timișorenii noștri care au venit așa în ultimul moment. Știți că întotdeauna VIP-urile vin la final. Îl avem pe Bogdan Vaida, pe Alin Cazacu, pe Cimpean, pe Sfârșit, vicepreședinte pe PR la Timișoara.
Salut!
Ciprian, cercetător. Alin, bun prieten, Timișoara Toastmasters, fotograf oficial al clubului și nu în ultimul rând, Marius Cazacu, președintele clubului. Mi-ar plăcea să ne spuneți câte ceva la final. Mi-ar fi plăcut, Marius, să ne spui tu ceva la final. Poți să ne spui gândul tău bun, urările tale pentru noi?
Sigur. Cu mare drag, bună seara, bine v-am găsit pe toți.
Tu de ce vorbești în română? Nici nu mi se pare normal.
Nu în engleză. Am trecut în engleză.
Aveți ședință în engleză? Prea târziu. Bine v-am găsit pe toți. Mă bucur să fie ajuns măcar la un ciot din ședința voastră, măcar atât cât să putem interacționa. Nu mai are rost să mai vin cu explicații, de obicei scuză acuză. Am aflat și ce înseamnă centura Radului, am poposit, am făcut camping acolo. În fine, se spune că întotdeauna cel mai scurt drum e cel pe care îl știi. Dar tentația e mare, uneori vrei să mai experimentezi și alte rute și uite așa, ajungi când ajungi. Mi-ar fi plăcut foarte mult să repet din nou, Gramatician. Cine e Gramatician în seara aceasta? Nu te azi acolo, discutăm la bere. Să particip la ședința voastră, văd foarte multe fețe noi, ceea ce înseamnă că sunteți un club într-o continuă schimbare și transformare, ceea ce este încurajator și bucurător. Văd că sunteți mult mai mulți decât data trecută când am fost aici, ceea ce, din nou, este un aspect pozitiv. Și, ce să zic, sper că ați avut parte de o ședință plăcută, interactivă. Aveți invitați de onoare, Mihaela, Nicu, timișorenii. Mă mir că nu au venit și celelalte cluburi, dar mă așteptam să văd și Oradea, și București, și Brașov. Va fi Bairam. Așa. Și sper să vă văd pe toți la o bere, să ne cunoaștem, să povestim mai multe. Acum nu vreau să ciupesc prea mult din ședința voastră.
Mulțumim foarte mult, Maris. Și nu în ultimul rând, aș vrea să invit aici în față pe o persoană dragă mie, membru Oradea Toastmasters, unica și inegalabilă, Mihaela Tachi. Miha, hai!
Bună seara! Spuneți-mi cum să încep prezentarea din moment ce mi-a zis unica și inegalabilă. Ce să mai zic acum? Doar că am nimerit într-un context puțin stânjenitor pentru mine, pentru că este ședința voastră în limba engleză. Și eu nu sunt atât de master in English. I have a very, very good accent, but la gramatică sunt varză. În concluzie, mă bucur că am ocazia să vorbesc puțin cu voi, așa în limba română. Nu știu foarte multe lucruri să vă spun, pentru că este prima oară când am ocazia să vin aici la voi acasă. Cealaltă întâlnire cu o părticică din ceea ce înseamnă Toastmasters Cluj a fost la conferința la care am fost invitată de către Raluca, nu? Conferința națională. Așa a fost. Unde nici acolo n-am fost așa în apele mele. De-abia acum încep să mă simt confortabil și ce v-am spune că sâmbătă și duminică voi fi prezentă la Timișoara, la cursul lui Nicu Zegheanu, cel pe care o să-l faceți și voi în 26-27 octombrie, așa am înțeles. Și data viitoare când ne vedem, putem să vorbim de pe poziții mai, cum să zic, mai egale. Eu am să vă vorbesc din punct de vedere al celui care poate să analizeze o ținută sau poate să analizeze, nu știu, dicția voastră în engleză. Îmi pare rău, nu pot. Toate că am avut momente în care am înțeles ce ați spus și momente în care nu am înțeles, nu numai din cauza cunoștințelor mele mai mici și din cauza accentului pe care l-au avut unii dintre voi. Dar, lăsând deoparte asta, vorbesc de feeling, de ținută, de carismă. Și o să iau așa, stimă și respect. Nu vreau să vin la tine, Adela, nu? Tu ești Adela. Nu pot să vin la tine să te pup acum, pentru că mi-a luat-o înainte Nicu. Felicitări! Dar pot să-l felicit fără să-l pup pe Dacian. Dacian este suficient să fie, să zâmbească, fără să vorbească și reușește să cucerească publicul. Și cred că Călin, scuzați cacofonia, nu se face, dar se spune, este în asentimentul meu. E un dat al tău.
Dacă o să-ți și iasă pe parcurs multe alte îmbunătățiri, atunci este în favoarea ta. Mai spune-mi odată, te rog frumos, cum te numești? De tine vorbesc.
Eu?
Nu, ba.
Alex.
A little bit coca. De la Coca-Cola, cea țărită așa. Îi place că... Așa, Alex. Simpatic, cu ținută și cu multă dezvoltură. Dezvoltură pe care am simțit-o la câțiva dintre voi, chiar din lift. Nu băga în gură hârtie. Este bună la digestie celuloza, dar nu acum.
N-am înghițit-o.
Despre tine era vorba. Nu-i târziu. Am apărut în viața ta la momentul potrivit. Ce mare lucru nu vă pot spune, doar faptul că pentru mine, ce înseamnă pentru mine Toastmasters? Eu cred despre mine cu lipsă de modestie că sunt un foarte bun și un foarte mult vorbitor. Lucru care nu întotdeauna este și eficient. Mulțumesc, Călin.
Încă o dată.
Este... Termin. Fainul este că la Toastmasters, în Timișoara, la început, mi-am dat eu seama cum este cu structurarea gândurilor și a ideilor. Pentru că Toastmasters, pentru mine, repet, înseamnă ceea ce v-am spus și voi la bootcamp, cei care ați participat la bootcamp-ul de la Sighișoara. Înseamnă ștaif, înseamnă ținută, înseamnă o anumită atitudine decentă și distinsă în dialog și în vorbirea curentă. Pentru că noi putem să participăm o oră și jumătate pe săptămână la Toastmasters dacă în vorbirea curentă și în viața de zi cu zi revenim tot la acea atitudine șleampătă și la acel bună sau la felul înjumătățit de a rosti. Știu, din nou vin și spun, sunt foarte mult și foarte... Am crezut că vrei să pleci și mă gândeam că deja am reușit să plictisesc, dar nimic, e bine. Deci, mare lucru acum nu. Dar o să mai vin și o să prind și eu, pentru că norocul pe mine nu m-a părăsit niciodată, o ședință în limba română. Și în acea ședință de limbă română o să analizăm altfel lucrurile. Frumos, eficient și eficient, am zis, nu? Educativ, educațional, motivațional. Mai mult, e o mare bucurie pentru mine că sunt la Cluj. E o mare bucurie pentru mine pentru faptul că am văzut chipuri cunoscute și din Cluj, dar și din Timișoara. Că ce să fac, dragostea din tâi nu se uită. Apropo, ar fi trebuit să încep, sunt Mihaela Tatu și sunt colegă cu voi, pentru că m-am înscris la Toastmasters Oradea. Pentru că asta vreau, eu să învăț de la voi și de la ceea ce înseamnă acele reguli de oratorie. Un exemplu pentru mine este Ovidiu, aici. Ovidiu l-am văzut evoluând și atunci și acum. Și nu veriți. Stimă, respect, admirație și constatare, stare pură. Iar acum, aici, m-a impresionat. Și ce ziceam mai că?
Am prins pe cameră, e ok.
Dați din gură. Și voi zic să învățați de la mine vorbirea corectă. De la mine. De la ce am reușit eu să dobândesc în 20 de ani de media. Vorbire corectă. Nu vă spun că suntem ardeleni. Abia, cafea. Așa. Și suntem ardeleni. Nu. Apropo de ardeleni, că tot vorbeam și de... Știți cum se deosebește un ardelean dintr-un grup de oameni, mai ales dacă privesc în oglindă. Ei privesc în oglindă cu toții și imaginea ardeleanului se întoarce după 5 minute. Cam așa se manifestă și discursul și vorbirea și spontanitatea cu care aplaudați și multe alte așa se manifestă. Mulțumesc încă o dată pentru faptul că mi-ați dat posibilitatea să vin să vorbesc în fața voastră. Zic eu corect, sau cel puțin m-am străduit. Și data viitoare vă propun, sau mai bine să vă promit că o să vin și la o lecție de limba engleză și o să pregătesc un impromptu. Table topics. Ce păr? Ce păr? Uite, dacă e ceva de corectat, corectează pentru că îmi doresc să vorbesc corect. Deci ne-am zis bine? Am zis bine. Mulțumesc!